Last month the sales were much of a muchness again. 119 sales for the Tauranga area, which is just off the average line of what we've been seeing over the last couple of years. You can see from the trend line that over the last 2 years that the sales have been just above it or just below it. So interesting to see how that's just tilting down just a little bit with the number of sales that we've been seeing. There's still a number of listings down and they're just not coming to the market, and so that it's not being fueled. The purchases are there and I'd be expecting more sales, but the only reason we're not getting more sales is we haven't got more stock to sell.
Yep. What happened with the price ranges?
Yeah, the price ranges were interesting this month. The loan to value ratio that the banks have been under has been eased a little bit, and they've come to grips and got their portfolios back in order a bit more. So that we saw a number of sales in the 200 to 250 range, which was interesting. The other interesting point was the sales in the 320 area were down a bit, so still no heights coming back into there. And thirdly is that there was a huge spike at around about 4 to 425. There was a lot of houses sold in that area. So the people that are selling, that they're not necessarily at the bottom of the market, they're further up the market.
Immediately talking about big price increases, they said Tauranga prices have gone up 17%. What's your take on that?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and it's a tricky one because the media pump it that the prices are going up. From what we see, the prices have been pretty stable over the last 18 months, 2 years. What they are actually taking their percentages on and their percentage increases on is what they call the median. Now the median is only just the midpoint of the sales that have occurred, not the value of the sales, but the midpoint of the sales. So what that's telling us is that over the last while, over the last month, that there's been more sales in the higher end of the market, which is showed from the graphs that we produce that the 425s and the 550s have sold quite solidly. So that there's more houses selling in the higher range, and because the loan to value ratio has come in and it's impacted the lower range, there's been less sales in that. And so what we've had is the graph of the number of sales and the value of the sales has moved up. And with it moving up, then the median moves up. That doesn't mean the value of the houses have moved any, it just means that the midpoint of what the houses that are selling has moved up. So you can still go out there and buy a $350,000 house, and the $350,000 house is still a $350,000 house as it was probably 3 months ago. So the value on that hasn't increased that much. It's the fact that the midpoint has moved on.
So house prices are the same? Or?
House prices are the thing that's affecting house prices, and I would say that they're strong but not hugely increasing, is that the shortage of houses to the number of purchases that are out there. A good example was a house that we marketed last month, and we had a lot of people, and we had 20 people through in the first 2 weeks of that house. Now that house was in the 420, 430 range, and there's a lot of people out there looking for that number of houses, that priced house.
Right.
And winter hasn't had a big impact on the sales, as we can see. The number of sales are pretty well up and down through the winter period. That hasn't had a significant impact. Looking back over spring for the last couple of years, that hasn't had a significant impact. So I think it's just steady as she goes. I can't see a lot changing from the end of the year, even if interest rates tighten a little bit. I still can't see a lot changing. And it's just a matter of if those that are thinking of selling, they should be getting on the market and selling because the buyers are here at the moment.